Hi, I'm Tim, welcome back to the van conversion. Today we're going to be cutting in the hole for our hookup point. So this is going to just be a short video, but it's more about the tool than the process. This is the simple box we're going to use. It's flush with the outside of the van. They're not that pretty, but you know, at the end of the day, it's white. It's the right colour for the van. So that'll be on. This box will be recessed in, and then you'll be able to hook up at a campsite or when you're at home or whatever to that point there. So I want to get on and do this because as soon as I put the panelling on, I won't be able to get to the conduit where the lead comes in. But in order to do this, rather than use the jigsaw, because I've already insulated that panel, I could pull it all out, but the best way to do it, where you haven't got a blade going through and protruding through the other side of the sheet metal, is to use a nibbler. And I've used this on a roofing sheet before, not used it on the van. Kind of wishing I had it when I did the roof lights, but I've ordered a cheapish one off Amazon. If this is any good, then I will stick it in the description box below. But this is one that works off your drill, so you don't have to have a compressor or an electric one, and that is really all it is. So the hex part there goes straight into your drill, and then you've got your handle here that you hold on to, and we're going to run it on the slower speed, and we'll just do a couple of test pieces first. But what this allows you to do is just nibble through. The only bit that protrudes through the other side of the metal is this probably 3mm part of the tool there, so you can get pretty close to it, and that's how it's going to work. Here's a close-up of the tool. You can see at the end here, as I push the drill trigger, it punches in and out, and that just cuts it, kind of shears the metal in tiny little bits and throws them out to the side, and you can kind of get all the sorts of curves, whatever shapes you need, using that. And absolutely no instructions with this. Assuming this black rubber gasket is what goes against the vehicle body, and then this plate here will go the other side, and when we screw through it or clamp it tight, we'll obviously be going through the metal anyway, and that will bind it up against the, and I'll probably just put a thin bead of Sikaflex sealant around this gasket just so we've got a completely waterproof seal. So when I put the conduit in, I already made a note of the distance down from the window edge to where I need to cut, and also in from the pillar, so I can reference that on the outside and kind of work out roughly where we need it. This section is plenty narrow enough that it won't interfere into the panelling. We've got a deep void there. By the way, the audio will take a bit of a dive now because this really has snapped off. So it's quick, but I think it would take a bit of practice to get it straight to the jigsaw. I did find that actually you do need it on a high speed setting. Slow speed just kind of jolts you around a bit. If you put it on the high speed, it flows much better, and you can do curves and all sorts. We'll get a file and tidy this up. quite as straightforward as I planned. You have to be a bit of a yoga instructor to lean in and push the other side if you're working on your own, because that plate on the other side which sandwiches the metal had a tendency to kind of push away, so a little bit like when we did the roof. I need to dig out the conduit. I'm not quite sure why I sealed it up, but this is where the consumer unit bit's going to go. And then we're using the Sargent system, which is a pre-wired or a pre-supplied kit. This end goes straight into the back of the unit, and then this will go down to our point at the bottom. And of course you want to use flex. There we go, and we've got a good bit of slack there. So if I tap that through, we should be able to wire it all up from the outside. So we'll put that grommet on there from the outside. I think that'll be easy enough. And now we can just put the insulation back over the top of the conduit where it was before. Then I might just loosen up around that box. But I think we're fine. It's not bulging too much that it'll get in the way. Seal the wound. Now we can get on with paneling the van. That will be in the last video, last video. So I'm sure there'll be loads more wiring type bits we'll get to. That was more about the tool, like I said. I made a bit of a dog's dinner of that. I'm pretty sure with a bit of practice you could get it nice and straight. If you're having long straight openings, I still think the jigsaw with a decent fine blade on it is probably okay. But if you're doing smaller openings, little vents, especially circular dropout vents and things like that, then that nibbler is probably the way to go. The best thing I've ever used one of those for is the plastic corrugated sheeting, and that stuff's just awful. It's quite brittle, and if you try and cut it with a jigsaw, it tends to shatter. Handsaw is a bit of a nightmare. Well, one of those you can really just go around it. Same with metal sheet roofing. We're back on the van project soon with the rest of the fit out, so make sure you subscribe to keep up to date with the videos. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this one, and remember, if you can, do it yourself, and we'll see you next time.